How's it going, everybody? Thanks for stopping by the channel once again. Please remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, if you like my content. On today's video, I'm going to be doing a first ride and review on the Honda CRF300l 2023 model. Alright, so we're going to start off this ride in a parking lot because I wanted to talk real quickly about the clutch engagement and the shifting on this bike. I'm in second gear right now, and I can understand why a lot of people really love this bike, because first of all, the clutch engagement is almost immediately when you start letting onto the clutch lever. It engages really soon. Obviously I can't demonstrate it, maybe I can, but I mean, you're only letting out maybe 3/4 to an inch, and that clutch starts to engage, and it feels really nice. I could just give the engine just a little bit of a rev and feather the clutch out just a little bit, and the engagement is so smooth. There's no jerking or bucking or anything else like that. It's just a really super nice feeling when you start out on this bike and get moving things. It just feels really well, like it's so refined. Like Honda really did a good job with the slipper clutch in this thing. It's just so smooth. The key to low speed maneuvers on this bike is start out first, shift into second quickly, and then use your rear brake to kind of help control things and stay in that friction zone, keep the RPMs up a little bit higher, and you can really make this bike dance. I'm very impressed with the way that this bike handles. Very nice bike, very nice clutch on this bike. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was the suspension. Yeah, it's mushy, but to me, that being a person that's completely new to dual sports or riding off-road and stuff, that's completely acceptable, because I wouldn't really want to try to learn to ride off-road. This is a bad bump. Oh, wow. That bump right back there on my other bikes, with a stiffer suspension, I catch air off my seat doing 35 miles an hour when I hit that, but this thing, it just soaked it right up. So back to the soft suspension. Yes, it feels pretty soft. Like I said earlier, when you get on and it smooshes right down, and it's very soft, but it's good for me anyways. I mean, if I'm going to learn how to ride off-road, I want something that's pretty soft, that I'm not afraid that it's going to buck me out of the seat when I go over a bump. So the suspension is nice and plush. It'll probably get upgraded by anybody who buys this bike and knows what they're doing off-road, unlike me. Let's talk about the seating position. It's got lots of room. Lots and lots of room. I should probably be choked up on the tank a little bit more riding a bike like this, but to me, I sit down on it, I just scoot back just a tiny bit, so I'm on more of the wider portion of the seat, because to me it's more comfortable. Now, talking about the seat, it's not the worst I've ever ridden on. You know, you got lots of room to move front and back, so if your butt begins to get tired, you can always just kind of move front and back and kind of adjust yourself. It feels pretty nice. It's not a bad seat at all. I think it's going to break in quite nicely for whoever buys one of these. So we're going to take it up this hill over here and see how she handles the hill. I'm just barely touching the gas in second gear, so in the interest of not abusing this engine, we'll keep her at lower RPMs. I don't want to take her over probably 6,000 or 7,000 RPMs until she's broken in. It's pulling this hill very nicely. Now I'm third gear, shift into fourth, 4,500 RPM, 30 miles an hour. Now if I give it a little bit of throttle, we'll see how it responds. Oh yeah. Pulls this hill very easily, and this is a really steep hill. I don't know if you could tell just by looking down there. It's quite the climb, but even in fifth gear, we're just kind of moping up this hill, 4,500 RPMs, and the engine is not lugging whatsoever. It feels really nice. It's doing a really good job. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, and I noticed this when I was riding this earlier, is that your right leg, the way that the cooling system on this bike is set up, the radiator's right down here. You can probably see the cap maybe you can see the cap. Anyways, the radiator fill cap is right there, so the radiator sits right directly in front of my right knee. Now there's holes in the fairing that allow the air to go through the radiator and exit out the fairing right there. So your right leg, my right leg, gets a little warm sometimes. I'm not saying that it's very uncomfortable. It's not quite that hot, but you definitely notice it when you're riding. So maybe somebody makes like a shield or something you can put in behind the fairings in there to kind of divert that wind somewhere else to keep the heat off your leg. But I don't think it's anything to worry about. It's not uncomfortably hot, so you know, it is what it is, I guess. There are bikes that I've ridden out there that produce far worse heat as far as like being uncomfortable. I think this bike would make an excellent first dual sport for myself, for anybody else who's looking to get into kind of just doing a little more exploring other than just concrete roads and things. I think this would be a good choice, and it's a Honda, so it's built very well. So as I'm riding down the road, I can feel, let's talk about vibrations. I feel absolutely no vibration in my feet. Zero, none. We're at 5,500 RPM in fifth gear, doing 43 miles an hour. I feel absolutely no vibration down low. There's some, if I press my legs tight to the fairings, I can feel some then. It's not a whole lot. Left hand, hardly any vibrations whatsoever. I do feel some in my right hand, but that can be easily remedied with a different set of grips because the vibration that I am feeling is so slight. I think, you know, if vibration gets to your hands, if you're one of those riders kind of like me where, you know, you start losing feeling in your hands when, you know, the vibration is too bad, then I think, well, actually I have a set of those foam covers at the house. I'll probably just throw them on here and call it good. And it could do with some of those because these hand grips are super skinny. Check out that view. Sunrise over Central Washington. Pretty cool. Let's talk about me being a new guy, new person to dual sport and dirt bikes. One thing that I noticed immediately, right when I first started riding this thing, it was how tall the tires. You can really feel how tall they are as far as like handling and stuff. They're very, very nimble, which is weird to me because I thought, you know, the shorter the tire and rim, the quicker it is to respond. But I'm kind of getting the opposite feeling here. Whereas this, I mean, I guess that's just the way dirt bikes and dual sports are set up. Either that or I bet these rims and tires weigh like next to nothing. But they feel awesome. So it's got a 6-speed transmission in it. And probably 99.9% of the time, yes, I'm watching you. 99.9% of the time, you're going to use 1 through 5. Because what I noticed is that 6th gear must be like a 1-to-1 ratio. It's like an overdrive because there's not much power in 6th gear, and as soon as you shift into 6th gear, the RPMs drop a lot, and it just feels like a cruising gear, which it probably is. I mean, Honda probably designed it this way so that it worked like that, which is awesome because when you're getting out on the highway and doing highway speeds on it, you want something kind of like an overdrive to kind of keep the RPMs low so that gas mileage stays good. And it doesn't put too much wear and tear on the engine when you're driving, you know, 70 miles an hour. Why do I gotta get stuck behind people like this? Oh, that's real nice. That shitter up ahead of me is dripping, well, you know what, all over the road. It's like just spraying out of the bottom of it. I'm gonna crash on this bike because I'm following a porta potty and it's leaking all that toxic blue stuff out of it, and a turd's gonna fall out on the ground, and I'm gonna slip on a turd and lay my bike down and die. That's how my story ends. So I have to apologize to anybody coming here for like a first ride review on this bike and hoping to see some dirt action. And I'm going to tell you why right now I'm not going to take this bike off-road. Well, number one, it's brand new from the dealership. Number two, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing off-road. So therefore I'm not going to take it on any trails or any gravel. I would much prefer to learn how to ride off-road before I go off-road, if you catch my drift. I do apologize for the lack of trail riding in this first ride video. But coming from the perspective of somebody who wants to buy this bike maybe for commuting or maybe just riding down dirt roads and things like this, I think it would be an excellent bike. It's got plenty of power, it handles really well, It's very well built. It's got a 6-speed transmission in it. The brakes work pretty good. I will mention about the brakes that they're kind of spongy, but I think they just need to get a few miles on them to kind of break in the brake pads and get everything working properly. But if you're buying this bike looking to commute, maybe ride some forest roads and things like that, I think it's a perfect choice. This engine and this chassis is very well proven. If you're here on YouTube and you've been around the motovlogging community for very long, you know for a fact that there's a lovely young lady named Itchy Boots, Nora Lee, who's been riding a Honda CRF300 rally all over the planet. And she took one of these things in the rally form from, I believe, the tip of Argentina, way down in South America, all the way up to Alaska. And it gave her minimal problems. So these bikes are just absolutely bulletproof. One thing that's also good about this bike is the service intervals. After you do your first initial oil change at around 600 miles, you don't have to do an oil change on these things up until 8,000 miles. That is insane. 8,000 miles. So if I had this bike, I'd probably do the first oil change. And then because I own several other bikes, it might take me years to actually put 8,000 miles on this bike. So if I had it, I would just go ahead and just do the oil change like once every year, just so that you keep fresh fluids in it and stuff like that. It doesn't hurt, you know, and probably what, 1 or 2 quarts worth of oil. But yeah, this bike is just, I am blown away by how nice this bike feels. And even the seat, after, you know, being riding on this thing for a while, the seat is not bothering me yet, which is very surprising, because damn near every factory seat out there sucks. And like I said, when the seat starts to bother you, since it's a dual sport, you can just kind of stand up on it a little bit and get some air in your butt and stretch out your butt cheeks and then sit back down on it. That's a nice thing that I really do enjoy that about my Versys X300, is peg position, and I could stand up on it after my butt starts to get a little bit sore. But the very shape of this seat means that you can just kind of move around on it. You're not stuck in one place. A lot of seats have kind of a built-in backrest there that does nothing other than trap you in one position. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my first ride, first review, first initial impressions of the 2023 Honda CRF300l model. I mean, it's a no-brainer. These things are only like $5,200 brand new, so you're probably looking at $6,500 out the door with tax, tag, and license and delivery and prep and all that stuff. Yeah, so you know, $6,800 maybe, worst case scenario. For a bike like this, it's phenomenal. An absolute killer buy. But anyways, thanks for stopping by the channel and checking out this video. I really do hope you enjoyed it. Remember, if you're still here at this point in the video, at least give me a thumbs up. You don't have to subscribe. Just give me a thumbs up. It helps me out to make videos and things like this. So until we see you on the next video, everybody ride safe, have a good day, and take it easy. We'll see you later.